Check, check. Check, check. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing today? All right, awesome. My name's Sam. I'm one of the cheetah trainers here at Busch Gardens. Thanks for joining me for our last presentation of the day. And we do have our record holder fastest cheetah is going to be running for us here today. So you're in for a treat. Yeah. With that being said, anybody know how fast a cheetah can run? Yeah, 70 exactly. 60, 70 miles an hour is what we like to say here. Believe it or not, the cheetah that we're about to see, she was clocked with a radar gun going 64 miles an hour right here on this track. So they're absolutely capable of reaching those same top speeds that they can reach out in Africa. And how we're able to do that is with some equipment that you might have seen some of our other trainers setting up. So if you were here a little bit before 2:30, you might have seen one of our trainers taking a really long green string all the way across the habitat and threading it through a series of pulleys that we have hammered in the ground. Busch Gardens is pretty unique because we have removable pulleys, whereas most other facilities that do cheetah runs have stationary pulleys. So we can change up our track pattern every single day, so the cheetahs really never know what they're going to get when they come out here. Just like how no two hunts in Africa are the same, no two runs here are the same. So that's one of my favorite things about this area. You can watch 100 different cheetah runs. They're all going to be different in some way, shape, or form. If you come back on a different day, you might see a different cheetah running. You might see a different track step as well. Sometimes we do around trees, we do zigzag, lightning bolt patterns. So the cheetahs really never know what they're going to get when they come out here. Now after we thread that string through the pulleys, we're going to tie it together in a loop and wrap it around that machine that you can see on the left-hand side of the habitat. So a pretty simple machine. It's just a battery that connects to a motor that spins a wheel forwards and backwards. So that is how we operate our moving target. So that is what the cheetahs are trained to chase after. They're not chasing after the license over there. They're chasing after that bundle of feathers that she's tying on. So that's what they're chasing after. They're not chasing after their food. That's the biggest difference between a cheetah running at Busch Gardens versus Africa, is that motivation behind the run. So think about it in Africa. If you don't run, you don't catch your food, you don't get to eat for that day. That's not the case here. They get all their food no matter what. They run because they want to run, not because they have to run to survive. So in Africa, you're running because you're hungry. Here, it's not the case. They get all their food no matter what. Now they're running because it's more like their fun exercise program. But you do have to teach cheetahs how to run hours, so it kind of steers them like a rudder on a boat. It's one of my favorite things to watch during the cheetah runs. Watch how she swings that tail around when she turns on a dive on these corners here. So that's one of my favorite things to watch. Now these cheetah runs don't last very long. Cheetahs can really only run for about 30 seconds to a minute before they're completely out of gas. And sometimes they're too tired after they run, they expend so much energy, too tired to even open their mouths and chew their food. So it's a little bit hotter today. We might see Nave get pretty tired quickly, but she's going to show off some of her speed, grace, and agility. So she'll be coming out of that gate in the far left-hand corner of the habitat, and she's going to show off her acceleration. So cheetahs can accelerate 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. Let that sink in for a second. That's faster than cheetah hunt can go to 60 miles an hour. That's faster than, I'm sure any of our cars can accelerate to 60 miles an hour as well. So really impressive that a living animal is able to accelerate that quickly. Now if you've seen a cheetah run at Busch Gardens before, you know that in order to get that gate open, we do a countdown from 5 down to 1. And on 1, we get our eyes and cameras ready at that gate. So our adult cheetahs have learned when they hear this countdown, that run's about to start. We know that because we see them kind of getting ready behind the gate, pacing back and forth. They know what's about to happen. So I'm going to ask for you all to help out doing a countdown here today. I can see Nave back there. She's ready to run. These feathers look good. Are you guys ready to see Nave run? I think we can do a little bit better than that. You ready to see Nave run? Better. So do a countdown that loud from 5 down to 1, and on 1 get those eyes and cameras ready at that gate. So count down with me here, starting at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent job by Nave. Nicely done. Yeah, she kind of was showing that ambush maybe a little bit there. So cheetahs are ambush predators. They're going to get as close to that prey as possible before they take off running. So we see that same thing here. When that gate went up, she didn't come barreling out of that gate. She kind of stopped that prey for a little bit, and then she turned those jets on to catch the feathers. And she kind of worked a little bit smarter, not harder. So when she made this turn right here, she kind of caught those feathers. So she worked a little bit smarter there rather than running at this top speed. So Nave, we're going to let her know she did a great job by giving her that positive reinforcement training. So that's what we use here at Busch Gardens. All of our sister parks as well, we use positive reinforcement training. Basically, in a nutshell, we let the animals know they did a great job for doing a behavior that we look for. In this case, we want to highlight the run. If they do anything we're not looking for, this is what happens. Absolutely nothing. So they have no change to their environment, no negative consequences or punishment. We just simply wait for opportunities to let them know they did a great job, and I'm waiting on Tamer now. She's kind of enjoying her prized possession there, so she did work really hard to catch that lure. We noticed sometimes it's getting pretty difficult to get those cheetahs to leave that lure. So that's the power of that positive reinforcement training in action right now. So even though there's no nutritional value behind those feathers, Nate would rather stay on those feathers rather than getting some meat treats. So we're going to see if Nate wants to come off of those feathers. And then this is that positive reinforcement. So this is our way of letting Nate know she did a great job, and we can let her know that by giving her different types of reinforcement as well. So it doesn't just have to be about the meat. One of Nate's favorite things is chicken broth. So it's just some chicken broth that we heat up to about a coffee hot temperature. And if you put chicken broth in a squirt bottle with a straw, cheetahs absolutely love drinking out of straw. So fun fact for y'all today, you didn't know that cheetahs kind of like us, like drinking out of straw. So that's a funny thing about cheetahs. But yeah, we can also offer her tactile or touch reinforcement. Squat down there, we call it relate, giving her a rub down. One of the many ways that we can let Dave know she did a great job for coming out here and running. But I definitely want to emphasize to you all that cheetahs do not make good pets. So that's a big problem for them out in Africa. They're being taken out of Africa and put into the pet trade. And just to give you an idea, a cheetah in that pet trade, average lifespan is about 1 year of age. And Dave here is almost 12 years old. So they can live into their mid to late teens at a place like Busch Gardens. Lots of resources going to taking care of these guys that I don't have at home. So we want you leaving today with more personal connection to the cheetahs, but hopefully not only going to take one home as a pet. So what do you think? Pretty cool? Yeah, excellent. Does anyone have any questions?